The first time I saw my daughter staring into the darkness, whispering and smiling like someone was talking back, I knew something was wrong. But I didn't expect this. I didn't expect to walk into her room one night and find her crying, with her hair floating, as if something unseen was touching it gently. I screamed. She turned to me, eyes wide, not with fear, but with love. "Mama," she whispered, "he's here, and he said he loves me." I stood frozen. "Who?" I asked, my heart pounding so hard I could barely hear myself. And she said it so softly, "The Jinn." That was the moment everything changed in our home. My daughter Fatima was only 17, a quiet, kind girl who loved to recite Quran and help me around the house. But now, she was talking to someone I couldn't see, someone who had entered her heart, her mind, and her soul. And no matter what I did, I couldn't stop her from loving him. But what shocked me the most was when she begged me not to ruin it. "Mama," she said with tears in her eyes, "he says you'll try to destroy him. Please don't. He promised he'll protect me, always." I didn't know whether to cry, scream, or call someone. I couldn't understand how this began. How did a jinn, a creation I only heard about in stories, find my daughter? How did he fall in love with her? And worse, how did she fall in love with him? It all began 4 months earlier. Fatima had started to act strange. She would spend long hours alone in her room, sometimes with the lights off. I thought she was just going through teenage emotions. I would knock, and she'd always answer politely. But her eyes started to look distant. She began waking up with scratches on her arms. At first, I thought maybe she was sleepwalking. Then she told me she had strange dreams. In her dreams, she said a man in white appeared. He had no face, but he would sit beside her and whisper things in her ear. Sweet things, beautiful words. She thought it was just her mind playing tricks. But each night, the dream became stronger. And soon, she said she could see him when she was awake. I took her to the clinic. They said it was stress or maybe anxiety. They gave her pills. But the dreams didn't stop. The man started speaking more clearly. He told her his name was Zahran, that he had been watching her for a long time, that he loved her purity, her modesty, her heart. He said he was from the unseen, but he had chosen her, and she believed him. I tried ruqyah. I begged her to read Ayatul Kursi. But every time I played Quran in the room, she would scream in pain. One night, I played Surah Al-Baqarah on repeat while she slept. She woke up yelling, clutching her chest, crying, "He's hurting. Please, Mama, stop hurting him." That night, she passed out, and something tried to choke me in my sleep. We were no longer just dealing with whispers. We were in a war, and the jinn was angry. That was the night. I found her outside at 3 a.m., barefoot, standing in the middle of our garden, her eyes completely black. She turned to me and smiled. He says he wants to marry me. I pulled her inside with trembling hands. Her body was cold, her lips barely moving, but she kept whispering his name, Zahran. I wrapped a blanket around her and called the local Īmān before dawn. I was shaking. My daughter was slipping away from me, not to drugs, not to madness, but to something I couldn't see, something not human. The Īmān came after far. He was a gentle, older man named Sheikh Idris. When I explained what was happening, his eyes narrowed. "This is serious," he said. "You should have called me earlier. The jinn are real, and some of them fall in love with humans. But once that happens, it is not easy to break the bond." He walked into a room with a bottle of Zamzam and a speaker playing Surah Al-Baqarah. She was asleep, or so we thought. The moment the recitation entered the room, her eyes flew open. But it wasn't her voice that came out. "Leave us alone," it hissed. The sound was deep, echoing, angry. My heart dropped. It was like hearing something speak from beneath the earth. Sheikh Idris didn't flinch. He began reciting Ayatul Kursi loudly, over and over. Fatima screamed. She thrashed on her bed, her wrists twisting at unnatural angles. "You're hurting him," she cried, this time in her own voice. "Mama, stop them, please. You're hurting Zahran." I couldn't hold back my tears. This wasn't just love. This was obsession. Possession. She wasn't choosing him anymore. He was taking her. Controlling her. My Fatima, my sweet girl who memorized Jazam at 11, who always helped serve tea to guests with a smile, she was now speaking in voices that chilled the bones. After an intense hour of ruqyah, she passed out again. Sheikh Idris looked exhausted. "He's not leaving easily," he said. "He's attached to her emotionally. He believes she belongs to him." "But how?" I asked. How did this even happen? The sheikh took a deep breath. "Sometimes jinn fall in love with humans when they see them vulnerable, especially during long moments of sadness or loneliness. Did she go through anything recently?" And that's when it hit me. For months ago, her father, my husband, left us for another woman. It shattered Fatima. She had loved him deeply, and the betrayal wounded her more than she let on. She started staying alone more, reading poetry, crying at night. I was hurting too, and maybe I didn't notice how deeply she was breaking. Zahran must have found her then, at her weakest, at her loneliest. For the next few days, I tried to stay close to her. I prayed next to her, cooked her favorite meals, played Nash in the house, but she barely smiled. She would look past me sometimes, as if listening to someone I couldn't hear. Then came the night of the thunderstorm. The power went out. The house was silent, except for the rain hitting the windows. I walked past her room and heard her talking, sweetly, gently. "I want to go with you," she said. I pushed the door open. She was standing on her bed, eyes closed, arms spread like wings. "Take me," she whispered. "I'm ready." And that's when a mirror in her room shattered on its own. Shards flew across the floor. She didn't flinch. She smiled. I screamed. When I screamed, she finally opened her eyes, but there was no recognition in them. She stared at me like I was a stranger. Blood dripped from her fingers, tiny cuts from the flying glass. But she didn't wince. She didn't even blink. She just said, "Don't worry, Mama. Zahran promised I won't feel pain." I rushed to her, grabbed her shoulders, and shook her. "Fatima, come back to me. Please, baby, it's me." But she only tilted her head and whispered, "Why are you afraid? He loves me. He'll take care of me, better than anyone ever did." My hands dropped. I had lost her again. The next morning, I packed our bags and took her to a distant village where a respected ruqyah healer lived. His name was Ustad Ralph, known across towns for dealing with difficult cases. He didn't ask questions when he saw her. He just looked at her pale face, her quiet smile, and said, "You came just in time." He began reciting Quran for hours, nonstop. Fatima wept, screamed, laughed, all within the same minute. Her voice changed back and forth. Sometimes it was her. Sometimes it was him. And then Zahran spoke clearly. "You cannot take her from me." The voice growled through my daughter's throat. "She belongs to me now." She gave herself willingly. Ustad Ralph didn't stop reciting. In fact, he recited louder. The sound of the Quran filled the room like thunder. Fatima fell to her knees. She screamed again. This time, I saw real fear in her eyes. "Mama, help me," she cried. "He's angry." I shouted, "Recite with us, Fatima. Say La ilaha illa Allah." She tried. Her lips trembled. La ila. But then her body was thrown backward by something unseen. She hit the wall with a force no human could manage. I screamed and ran to her. Blood trickled from her nose. She was barely breathing. Ustad Ralph turned to me. "We are not just dealing with any jinn. This one has made a deep emotional bond. He's not only inside her, he's in love with her. That makes it harder." I sat there on the floor, holding my daughter, trembling. I asked the one question that haunted me every night. "Can we save her?" He looked down, silent. Then he said, "Only if she chooses to fight. We can't force her. Her heart must let go." For the next 3 days, we stayed there. No phones, no distractions, just prayer, ruqyah, and tears. Fatima would come and go, sometimes herself, sometimes not. When she was herself, she would cry and say, "I want to be free, Mama." But when I try, he screams inside me. He says I betrayed him. We explained to her that this wasn't love, that this was deception. She began to understand. She began to fight. But the Jinn wasn't done. One night, as Ustad Ralph was preparing another session, the lights in the room flickered, then went out completely. Fatima screamed from her room. I ran in. She was levitating. No support, nothing beneath her. Floating in the air, her head hanging back, her eyes rolled to white, and on her wall, written in soot, were the words, "If I can't have her, no one will." I fell to my knees, screaming her name as she floated in the center of the room like a lifeless doll. The air turned ice cold. The lamp shattered on its own. Windows slammed shut. I could barely breathe. My baby was being taken from me, right in front of my eyes, and I was helpless. Ustad Ralph rushed in, clutching a Muzhaf tightly. He didn't flinch at the chaos. He began reciting Surah Al-Baqarah, louder than I'd ever heard before. Every verse felt like a lightning strike. As he recited, Fatima let out a piercing scream. So loud, I thought the roof would cave in. Then, all of a sudden, her body crashed to the ground. Hard, I ran to her, sobbing. "Fatima, talk to me, please." She coughed. Her eyes opened slowly. It was her again. My daughter. My child. "Mama," she whispered weakly, "I saw him. He was angry. So angry. He said, 'He'll destroy everything I love.'" I looked at Ustad Ralph in horror. "Is he gone?" He shook his head. "No, but he's weakening. Your daughter is fighting him. That's the only reason she's still here. We have to keep pushing." That night, Fatima lay in bed, wrapped in blankets. I sat beside her, brushing her hair gently like I used when she was little. She looked at me, her eyes filled with pain. "Mama, I didn't mean for this to happen," she said. "At first, he just listened. He made me feel like I mattered. He said sweet things. And I believe him. After Baba left us, I just wanted someone to stay." My heart broke. This wasn't just a battle between her and a Jinn. It was a war between her loneliness and her faith, between emptiness and whispers. The next morning, Ustad Ralph gave us a strict routine. Ruqyah, daily recitation Quran, regular salah on time, no music, no mirrors uncovered, and constant remembrance of Allah. Fatima agreed. Days passed. Weeks even. She seemed to be getting better. Her eyes returned to normal. She laughed again. She even helped me cook. For the first time in months, I thought, maybe, just maybe, we were winning. But that illusion shattered on the 27th night of Ramadan. She had just finished praying tahajjud. Her hands were raised in dua. She was weeping, asking Allah to forgive her, to free her, to return her life. I was right beside her. Then we heard a soft knock on the window. We looked. There was nothing there. Another knock, louder this time. I stood nervous. "Probably the wind," I whispered. But Fatima froze. Her face went pale. Her lips trembled. "No," she said. "It's him. He's calling me again." Before I could respond, her body stiffened. Her eyes rolled back. She screamed, not like before, but this time with such terror, such horror, I could feel in my bones. Then she looked at me and said in a voice that was not hers, "You prayed too much, woman. Now you'll suffer for it." And the candle beside us exploded in flame. The flame rose so high, I thought it would reach the ceiling. I grabbed the rug and threw it over the candle, trying to smother the fire. Smoke filled the room, and Fatima was still screaming. Except now, it wasn't just terror. It was rage. Her voice sounded layered, like two people speaking at once. I shouted, "Audu billahi min ash-shaytanir rajim," and rushed to her side. Her arms were stiff, her hands shaking. Her lips moved rapidly. I leaned closer and heard it. He was speaking through her again. "I warned you. She was mine. I waited years. I loved her more than you ever could. And now you ruin everything. I slapped her cheek softly. Fatima, listen to me. You are not his. You are a servant of Allah. Say la ilaha illallah. Say it. She choked. Her jaw locked. Her body began to convulse. I screamed for Ustad Ralph. He rushed in, instantly placing his hand on her head, and reciting loudly from Surah Al-Mu'minin. His voice shook the room. Fatima thrashed. Her eyes streamed tears. Her back arched unnaturally. Then, in one terrifying moment, she went completely still. No breath. No movement. I froze. Fatima? Fatima. My knees buckled beneath me. I shook her, slapped her cheeks, screamed for her to come back. Ustad Ralph kept reciting, tears running down his own face. Don't stop calling on Allah, he whispered. Don't stop. And then she gasped. Her chest lifted, as if something had just been torn from it. She screamed so loud it shook the windows. Her whole body went limp, and she collapsed into my arms. Silence. No voices. No whispers. Just my baby girl, breathing. The next few hours were a blur. Fatima slept deeply, the first peaceful sleep she'd had in months. When she finally woke up, her first words were, "Is he gone?" I looked into her eyes. They were calm, clear, hers. Ustad Ralph nodded slowly. He's gone, and he left angry. But he knows now. This house is protected. This girl belongs to her creator. Fatima began to cry. I held her tight and whispered, Allah protected you, my love. But you must protect your heart, too. Shane waits in every corner, even in the shape of something that feels like love. Since that day, our home has never been the same, but not in a bad way. We pray every prayer together. We play the Quran constantly. We speak of Allah in every room, every corner, because we know now the Jinn are real. Their whispers are real, and their traps are subtle. But no matter how strong their love may feel, Allah's protection is stronger. And I'll never stop saying that to every mother, every daughter, every soul that's lonely. Love that pulls you away from Allah is not love. It is a test, and it can destroy you. My daughter fell in love with a Jinn, and for a while, I couldn't save her. But Allah did.